What is going on, you guys? My name is Cody Thixton, and this is Interesting Podcast, coming to you guys on October 16th, 2023 for episode 76, where today we have a very, very special guest. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Let's get right into this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to bring to you guys Stevie Bae Knoxx.
Hey,
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing really, really good. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, maybe if you can explain to everybody who maybe doesn't know you, maybe you can introduce your name, where you're from, and how long you've been in pro wrestling.
Absolutely. So my name is Stevie Bae Knoxx. I am a ring announcer or backstage commentator, depending on where I'm at, for a few
Yeah.
different promotions up here in the Pacific Northwest. I've been involved on this side of wrestling for a little over a year now. It's like a year and a couple of months. It feels like it's been a lot longer than that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I've been coming out to local shows for the past few years, like before COVID and stuff. And that's kind of how I got introduced to everybody, at least around here. Um, but yeah, I am the vibe maintainer. I am your host. I am the mixtress of ceremonies. And yeah, I just bring the party
Very.
wherever I go.
That's awesome. So, like, but what was like the first time in which like you saw professional wrestling? Was it at just the indie show, or was it a little time before that?
It was a long time ago. So like generally speaking, as far as wrestling goes, so I'm not from here. I'm from North Carolina. And when I was a little kid in North Carolina, my older sister, my stepsister watched a lot of wrestling, and I had really strict parents. So
Mhm.
I literally could only watch a half an hour of the Monday Night Wars at a time. And yes, I'm aging myself, but whatever. Um, but yeah, that was my first like little glimpse into wrestling. My stepsister was a huge Triple H DX mark, so I saw all of that secondhand. um,
That's
and then I just kind of dropped out of it after a while. Like I got involved in other things. And then I moved out here when about 20 years ago. I was 16, making new friends in school and stuff. And I met my best friend, and he was slash definitely still is, because that's what we do when we hang out a lot of times is watch wrestling. But he was like obsessed with wrestling, and he'd come over to my house. And because I'm from a Southern family, Southern hospitality means basically do whatever your guest asks you to do, right? And
mhm.
he would be like, "Hey, yo, Stevie, it's Monday. You know what that means?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, I know. That means we're watching wrestling." And he's like, "Yeah." And I slowly got pulled back into it like that. It was pretty funny.
That is awesome. So,
Uh,
like, give you. Oh,
oh no,
I
go ahead.
apologize. Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, like, so you said that it was about like a year and a half ago that like you started doing professional wrestling. So, like, when was the first time that you actually like stepped into the ring like with a microphone?
So actually, the first thing I did within wrestling technically wasn't even announcing. So back in the day, well, not back. It seems like back in the day now, but there was WCWC down in Salem, and they used to have people sing the national anthem before the show. And I am a singer first and a ring announcer second. So I hit up, that company, and I sang in front of everybody. And like when I'm standing there, I'm standing in the little entranceway, I'm doing my thing, I'm looking out, and I just have this feeling inside of me. Like I can't describe it. Anybody that does perform probably kind of understands what I mean, but I'm like, I really like this. I have to stand right here, and I don't know why, you know. And it was one
Mhm.
of those things, like, I kind of kept that to the side for a long time because I had a lot to deal with at that point in my life in general. But I knew I somehow knew I would eventually end up on this path. And it's kind of crazy because it wasn't one of those, I'm planning to do this. It was quite literally one of those, here you go. The opportunity was presented to me, and I would have been stupid to say no. So here
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. So like have you been singing like all your life?
Since I popped out of the womb, practically. um, I did
Interesting.
Portland Idol out here a couple of times. Um, there were a couple of different versions of it. There was one by the radio station. I did not do that one. There was a different version within the LGBTQ community, and that was what I participated in a couple of different times. Um, I don't have anything really formal. I just kind of go out there and do my thing. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if I'm not having fun, I don't want to do it. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. So
know,
like so you were able to sing the national anthem at the company in Salem.
yeah.
Yeah. So what would it be like for you if you were to be in like a big like stadium and like be put to, go out and sing? Like would you feel like nervous at all?
Oh, I mean, yeah, because that would be the largest, like, that would be the largest crowd ever. But at the same time, like, I have my ways of cutting my nerves before coming out, you
Mhm.
know. Um,
Yeah.
I like to use my emotional support vape pen before a show. Like, that's what I call it, because that's what it
Yeah.
is.
That is awesome. So like what are some other things that like you do to like calm your nerves before actually going out and performing?
Well, I kind of sit and take things in as well because I'm a big believer in like energy and things like that.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'll just kind of peek out, see what's happening, take everything in for a second. Just kind of, slow breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't have
Interesting.
any like insane rituals or anything, at least not yet. That could come.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so, like, well, I just always, like, whenever I ask people that, for some reason, I always think back to, like, Mankind, Mick Foley, and how, like, in his documentary, he said that, like, he would almost, like, put himself in, like, a dark room just to get into, like, like, his headspace, so, like, it's just always interesting to ask people that question, and,
Oh, yeah,
like
and sometimes it kinda depends too on a few different factors. Because sometimes I'll have my like, if I'm, obviously with, like, announcing, if I already have my notes prepared, like, the day before, because a lot of times I do, but sometimes I don't.
yeah,
In the event that I don't, I kinda just put myself off in a corner and put my headphones on and start writing all my stuff down, and that time by myself before a show really does help. Because I might be like outwardly cheerful and happy with everybody, but honestly, I have really bad anxiety. I'm just like,
mhm.
okay. Like inside, sometimes I'm just like, but on the outside, I'm just like,
Interesting. So, like, what is it like whenever you're like the first person that people see whenever they go to like a show, so that you can go and actually start announcing people? Like, how does that feel to be like the first person to represent whatever company you're working for?
it is crazy because it's not something I ever thought about doing. Like I fell into all of this by accident.
Mhm,
Like, um, just kind of going back into how I started and stuff. So like like I discovered that I could do it completely by accident. Again,
mhm,
hanging out with the friend that I was telling you about. We're hanging out, we're watching a show, and I'm just kind of messing around, going along with the ring announcer and what they're saying, and I'm like, making their way to the ring. And I was like, wait, hold on. And I kind of just like look over at my friend and I'm like, did I do something? I think I did something. That's weird. But we're gonna hold on to that. And
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, no. So like whenever you're like coordinating with wrestlers, because like you said that like you found something. So
Yeah.
like like what was the last time where maybe you were trying to like practice a like wrestler's entrance and then you felt like you just really nailed it?
You know what's funny? I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna blow your mind. I don't practice it. So I just go out there and I say it, and that's just how it is. Like, so what I'll do as far as like gathering people's info and stuff like that when I'm at a show, the great thing about working in multiple places is that most of the time I'm working with at least 5 or 10 of the same people. And
Mhm.
so eventually I just memorize their introductions. And every so often I might check in with them and be like, hey, do you want me to change something up? Or is it still cool? You know,
Yeah.
just to make sure that it's still fresh and consistent. But a
Mhm.
lot of times I'll walk up to somebody if I have never announced them before and I'm like, hi, I'm Stevie. I've never announced you before. What do you want me to say about you? That's literally exactly what I say. And
Mhm.
a lot of times they'll just kind of look at me and they're like, do you do weights? Do you do hometowns? I'm like, literally, whatever you want me to say within reason, whatever you want.
Mhm.
It's my job to put you over. What do you want me to put over?
Yeah.
And I just
Interesting.
kind of go from there.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were just saying that about like Jaden and how like there was like the unbelievable Jaden and then like he kind of transitioned and you had to say like the shadow Jaden. So like I would kind of like pick that up that maybe he had to come to you and be like, hey, I'm flipping my character a little bit. Like you gotta
That's literally, yeah,
yeah.
yep, that'll happen. And like sometimes with him specifically, it's kind of a joke between us. I'm like, which suit are you wearing today? Okay. Yeah,
So
it's
like
fun. I like it. I like saying the really fun ones. Like sometimes people will just give me like their hometown and their weight and their name, and I'm like, okay, if that's what you want me to say, that's what I'll say. But then I'll have
yeah.
other people that give me like this fun little diatribe, and I'm like, that's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So like about like Chris Hamilton or Greg Hamilton, sorry.
I was like, wait, who?
Yeah, yeah, Greg Hamilton, and how he kind of does like the Shinsuke Nakamura, and how he just like extends it like as far as he can, and he's just so good. And it's like, do you kind of like doing that, like really extending it, and like instead of
Oh,
just having
oh yeah. There's a few people that I do that for. Like that, how all of that even started. So like, if people watching, like if you followed me along on my journey, you'll notice at the very start of it, I wasn't sure what kind of voice I was going for at the very beginning. And
Mhm,
so a lot of times I had like this growly thing happening, and I still implement that in some spots, but like not all the time. But then I had gotten a critique that was like, hey, like just be yourself. Like you don't have to use that voice. A lot of people try
mhm,
that. Don't do that. Just be yourself. And I kind of thought about it. And that's the thing too. When people give me advice, like I take it and I run far with it. So
yeah,
that said, one of the first people that I like did something like that with was Malcolm Flex. So like I had to think about a way because there was like this whole timing thing because he stuck his hand out of the curtain and I wanted to make it sound like in time with that. So I just started extending it. And the first time I did that, somebody actually got it on their phone. It's like somewhere on my highlighted stories, I think on Insta. But I was like, oh, ah, okay, I need to start doing that more. And so I do. And there are certain words that I say that if you listen to how I say it, it's kind of like an homage to somebody, right?
mhm.
So one of my favorite people ever, Lillian Garcia. I love her, right?
Nice,
And
nice.
and myself and my best friend, we'd sit and watch. Like back in the day, we started watching more together around like 2007-ish. So like the 2010s era was really where I started to get really in depth into wrestling in general.
Mhm.
But all that said, the way Lillian would say championship was something that like we would kind of like make fun of, but it was because we liked how it sounded. So you're like championship, right? So right, you know what I'm talking about. You know, I love how it sounded. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll say things because I like how it sounds, or like I like how it feels when I'm saying it. And I know that sounds really weird, but that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when I was at POW this last
Mhm.
Friday, you know, the POW Pro Wrestling Championship. That's why I say it like that. That's why I say it like that. Just
Yeah.
little things, detail.
That is, yeah, that is so cool. So it's like, how does it feel to like be like the voice of like either like POW Pro Wrestling or DOA whenever people like think about, you know, you announcing everybody or saying the DOA, you know, championship or whatnot?
It's it's it still blows my mind
Yeah.
because I was that fan in the front row and now I'm the person in the ring talking to everybody. It's still a
Yeah.
trip. Like, and I
Interesting.
enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say because like the experience
No,
itself,
no.
like even thinking about it, I'm grateful. You know, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Was so like was there anything that like you've kind of learned about yourself that like you maybe didn't know before getting into pro wrestling?
I'm not maybe not necessarily discovering about myself, just like um confirmation and like I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like I already knew that I was a strong person. I already knew that I could do these things because there's so many other things that have happened in my personal life where I've had to kind of step up for myself and advocate for myself. And I'm literally out here by myself. So, you know, I was not to sound cliche, but I was built for this shit. Period.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. So like let's talk about like you kind of being backstage and like looking at the monitors. Like how is that like being able to kind of have that sneak peek of a pro wrestling show like behind the curtain?
It's pretty cool because you know I don't have to I don't have to make somebody move in order to be able to see. That's cool. I'm just kidding.
Mhm.
Um, but it also kind of depends on where I'm at and what company I'm with because there are some places I literally am just put in the crowd somewhere so I can see what's going on so I can pay attention and call it correctly.
Yeah.
Um, like I'm usually next to the commentary table, so I see it live and I see it on a monitor at the same time.
Yeah. Interesting. So like is it weird to like be like looking at a screen but then like be like hearing it live and then, you know?
I kind of use both because, for example, at DOA, we have there's a lot of people we cram into that room. So
Mhm.
a lot of the times because, you know, action's happening, people are standing up, and where I'm sitting, I can't see over them. So I have to look over at the commentary monitors in order to pay attention to what's going on. So
Interesting. So let's talk about you kind of being. So I was watching earlier. I apologize. POW Pro Wrestling when they had the POW tag controversy, and
yeah,
yeah, it was you, the Blanchard brothers, the Hammer brothers, Mister Ooh La La, and dang it, Brian Zane.
Yes.
you know. And it's like, I like, how is it like standing like in that corner and then having like a story unfold? Like how is it like being in the ring as compared to, you know, us fans, or what you were expecting being a fan and sitting front row?
It's amazing. I love this side so much better. I like knowing, like, there's a feeling when you're on the other side watching it where you're like, wow, this is a great story, and you are able to ditch whatever it is that is going on with you for a few hours and
Mhm.
just focus on that, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm the person helping provide that to those people. And
Yeah.
so just being involved in that way is very rewarding to me, and it makes me feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how it would be to like go from being a fan to, you know, stepping in the ring. And I know I've said before in a podcast that like I was able to go in a ring once, and like people don't really understand like just how hard the surface is, you know. And it's really crazy.
Yeah, it does not tickle by any means of the imagination.
Hmm.
Like, I was training for a little bit. Um, I'm not at the moment, but that's not to say that I won't ever go back to it. I really enjoyed it. It's just not in the cards for me currently. So I'm doing what I'm doing, you know,
Yeah.
'cause as we all say in wrestling, it's never, never say never.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that would be crazy to see you make like a in ring debut and wrestle.
if I were to, I say this to everybody, like if I were to be like in ring in any capacity, I feel like I would be more of a manager type of person rather than like full. Like I would probably do a couple of one-offs just because that would be fun. But I started a lot later than most people,
Mhm.
and knowing that, and I want to like last as long as I can in any capacity because I love doing this. So I want to make sure I last as long as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Would there be any pro wrestlers that like you would look up to, just like you had said that your friend was into Triple H and DX?
Yeah. Well, back in the day, like when I first started watching again, like after I moved out here, at first I was like, I will admit, initially I was one of those that was like, oh, that guy's hot. I like him. That was totally me. I'm not gonna front about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I saw John Cena and I was like, ooh, who's that? And then Randy Orton comes out, ooh, who's that? But then what really got me was CM Punk and the pipe bomb. That's the one that really
Mm,
got me. I was like, oh, that one's my favorite.
yeah. Yeah,
And
that
so,
was a badass segment.
yeah, yeah. So I really dug those wrestlers as far as like women's wrestling goes. AJ Lee is my queen. I love her. Um, forever. Like just overall, you know.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. A lot of people like recently. I don't know why my brain is like it's like blanking out right now. I'm
No,
just kind
no,
of blabbering on at the moment.
no, you're all good. You're all good. So I want to bring up that remember when I was just talking about the POW tag controversy, and like they had like their projection screen up and they were like playing the video of what happened at baseball with, you know, the controversy and whatnot. And it's how is it like going to like different companies where they have those different kinds of production, and like, you know, like it kind of maybe gives you more of an avenue with what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely. So like I would say of everywhere I work, the two places that have, in my opinion, the highest production value are going to be DOA and PAL.
Hmm.
Um, and they're very organized. Like I always know what's going on. We're on a nice tight schedule, very structured. I love that. I love that
Mhm.
so much because it makes my job easier doing what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, okay, Stevie, you do this, you say these things, dope, awesome, I'll do that. And it's very
Okay.
easy. And
Yeah.
I find that with that, because there's so much effort being put into not necessarily just the production side, but like in the show in general, like plans made out long term, things that make sense, that kind of thing. I highly enjoy working those because it's like we're a well-oiled machine, but I'm just a cog in the well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
and I like it.
Yeah. Well, so here's a question, and like obviously with like respect to like every wrestler, but like, is there like a wrestler that like maybe you enjoy watching the most? Like maybe they just bring something here in the Pacific Northwest.
And this is literally going to turn into Stevie puts over all of their homies for an hour straight. Because I really enjoy watching everybody. Like I can't just say one person,
Mhm.
Like for
Yeah.
example, at POW on Friday, there were 3 specific matches that I think were like all of them were good, all of them were great. But Amira and Sandra Moon was amazeballs. So when that one gets tossed back up on the YouTube, you gotta check that one out. Um, the Super Aces, the street fight, that was insane. It was absolutely insane. It was so good. I love watching Jaden with the Flamin' Aces has been very entertaining to see them like evolve, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and of course the casket match, that was also insanity.
Interesting. So like will all of that be coming out soon?
Well, I'm not exactly sure when it will be up on YouTube. I would just say keep your eyes on the YouTube page. It will be posted there at some point.
Okay, coolio. So, let's talk about Queen of Thorns, because
Yeah,
I heard from Abigail Warren that like that was kind of a really emotional event for everybody. So, like, what was that experience like for you?
brother. Yeah, Queen of Thorns is very emotional for me because that was my first DOA show. And for a broader context, Queen of Thorns was the second, like not this year, obviously, but like what the first one that I did was the
Mhm.
second show that I ever announced ever, ever. So like it holds a lot of weight for me. I mean, like it has a special place in my heart,
Yeah.
And literally, seeing Amira, obviously, that's probably what we're going to get to in this conversation. Like literally, she and I used to both go to DOA shows and we sat in the crowd, not necessarily like together, but adjacent to each other. We'd always like, I wouldn't say we were like best friends, but we would like say hi, that kind of thing. So we knew
Mhm.
who the other one was. And then watching her like evolve the way that she has, and that girl has busted her ass to get to where she is. Jesus, I'm getting
Yeah.
tears just talking about it. And then like watching me in the same respect, but from a different angle, just continue. Like honestly, I just show up and do stuff. Like I really don't think about what it could gain me. I'm just like, I'm here. Let's just do this right now. Like I don't really think about it. I just go do it.
Yeah.
Uh, so that said, like the two of us, had that moment where I like raised her hand at the end. And I'm like, okay, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you two, and she was kind of like hugging you like around like your waist, and like you could just see like how she was emotional. and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's like once you guys like go through something like that in the ring, like what is it like when everybody goes into the back and then goes into the curtain? Like what do you even say to everybody after an emotional moment like that?
We just, we just kind of take it in and we just kind of, it is what it is. We made moments happen and we're all happy about it. And then we just
Mhm.
kind of gather ourselves for a second, break everything down and do it again the next month,
Yeah, yeah. So here's a good question. So like, how does it feel to like have seen like Aubrey Edwards here before, and then to see how like she was able to get to AEW, and like how does it feel to just like know that like if you stick with something like this, like you could get signed to like a major company for any position, you know? It's like that's got to be a really cool thought to have.
You know what's funny? I
Hmm.
didn't really ever think about it like that until like within the past few months or so. Like I haven't really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And as far as like I knew that Aubrey was from here, but I don't remember anyway if I had ever gone to any shows that she was in before that. I
Mhm.
don't think I did. So I like missed that barely.
Oh, okay.
Um yeah, but mad respect, work your way up. That's cool. I would love to do that. If that's in the cards for me, that would be sick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I'm I'm always open to it. It would be really cool, but I don't know if I'm cut out for that, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why for some reason you like remind me of like somebody who would be like a newscaster. Like you would be really good on the camera and just, you know.
Here I am with the news.
Oh man, that is so funny. So like I read on your Twitter or Instagram that like you're going to be going to Reno, Nevada, and making your debut there.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. Um, so my good friend Anton Voorhees hit me up and was like, "Hey, would you be interested in going to Glam in Reno?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Oh,
And yeah, because everybody knows, like, and that's gonna like Nevada is my third state this year outside of the Northwest. So
crazy. So like
yeah.
what other states did you go to?
So at the beginning of the year, I did full queer in California,
Mhm.
and that was really cool. That one meant a lot to me for a couple of reasons. I have family that lives in Sacramento, and I was finally able to perform, like do something in front of my family, which was really cool because I never thought I'd have that happen. So I did that, and then just in September, I was in Utah for Princess Death Wish's birthday death ball. That was a lot of fun. It was it was literally a wrestling show for Princess Death Wish's birthday, and it was a lot of fun to do. And now in a couple weeks, I'm gonna be heading down to Reno for Glam. If you're watching and you're from that area, you should totally come check it out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. So
That is so cool. So like you just said that that you were able to perform in front of your family and like you didn't think that you would actually get that opportunity. So like was that like more of like a nerve-wracking moment out of like your entire, I guess, career of performing?
not at all, actually. If anything, like things like that actually help me rather than make me more nervous.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I it was really cool because I wanted to be able to show people what it is that I'm getting into, because I would have conversations with them about, because at the time I was still going to the school and training. So I'm like, yeah, I'm doing these things, and then I'm announcing at this thing, or doing these things. And my uncle is just like, whoa, that's crazy. But initially, before I even went there to perform, I had brought them along with me just as a fan, just to watch,
Mhm.
a previous time that I came down to visit. And that was how that even came to be in the first place. So it was a lot of fun watching my uncle and his partner just be like, so this is what wrestling is. I'm like, uh-huh.
Interesting. So we had just talked about like the Queen of Thorns and how it was like in an emotional show. Was there like the like most intense show that you've ever been to, or was it the one that you went to last week?
Mm, no, last week wasn't super intense. It was that was a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah.
but Queen of Thorns, yeah, that one was definitely one of the more emotional ones that I've done. Another one, like another time that was very emotional for me was I did a POW show literally 48 hours after I found out my dad passed away like 2 months ago. So
Oh.
um yeah, that one, it was a lot, like it was a lot, but I needed to do that. But, like, a lot of people probably would have just called off and not done it. But the way my dad was, he would have been like, "Why are you crying? Go. You have fun doing that. So go have fun doing that." So that's
Yeah.
why I
Well, my condolences. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Um. Dang. Okay. Well. Hmm. So like, well, like what was going through your mind as you're trying to perform and like you just said, like a lot of people would just walk away or not show up. Like, like what was running through your mind? Like,
It was kinda it was just kinda like life goes on. I have to
hmm,
keep going. I can't stop. That was what was
yeah,
going through my head. I can't
yeah,
stop, because if I stop, it's not good for me. So I gotta keep going.
yeah, yeah.
And
I know.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. You go ahead. I apologize.
No, you're good. Um, Having all of the people around me that care about me, like, because as cheesy as it sounds, like, we may fight, we may bicker sometimes, but wrestling really is like a big family.
Mhm,
Like, we all say it from time to time, but that's why I always say family is family, but Wrestle Fam is the best fam, because I have gone through some of the darkest shit in my life, and these people have stood by me. And that's what makes continuing to do things, even if it's a time where I probably should have taken a break for myself, that much easier.
yeah. Yeah, I bet it was definitely nice, especially to, go through those dark times and know that you can just, like, pick up your phone and boom, you know?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
working on that for myself. I will say that. I'm bad at that, but I'm working on it.
Alright, well, before we actually end up, closing everything out, I wanna ask you, like, what being in professional wrestling now, like, means to you? Like, how much does it mean to you every time you get to go out and actually perform?
It means so much. Like, some of the best times, like, I have ever had in my life are, doing shows with people, whether that be, like, making memories when we're, putting stuff together, taking stuff down, hanging out with each other after the show, hanging out with each other when we have time to kill before the show, like, all of that. But ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, the thing that really gets me is, like, all of those fans. Like, I have fans message me sometimes and be like, "Hey, I just want you to know that helped me forget about like whatever situation it is that they're going through for a few hours. And I really appreciate that. Like it's those messages. And sometimes I have little girls come up to me and be like, hey, I recognize you. Like I was working merch at Prestige and this little girl comes up and she's like, hey, were you the cat at DOA? And I'm just like, yes, I was the cat at DOA. It's stuff like that that really gets me. Like knowing that I'm affecting people in a positive way really is what drives me.
Yeah. Well, that is so cool. Well, I just want to thank you again for actually coming on and just letting me just sit down with you and ask you a couple questions and maybe get people to know a little bit more about you as Stevie Bae Knoxx.
Absolutely. I appreciate it a lot.
All right. Well, I will see you at DOA last day on Earth.
Yeah, you're coming. I wish
Yeah.
I shot you out. Make yourself
All
known
right.
to me. I will shout you out. Okay.
All right. Well, I will talk to you later, and I hope you have a really good night.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day.
Bye. All right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Stevie Bae Knoxx. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'll catch you guys later.